Hello students, welcome to BTech 360. Every college says 100% placement. Every website also shows the highest package. But no one tells you the most important truth. Placements don't happen college-wise. They happen branch-wise. Two students can sit in the same campus, attend the same convocation and yet walk out with different career outcomes. Simply because they choose different branches in the same college. That's why choosing a college without understanding branch-wise placements data is one of the biggest mistakes that students make. In this series, we'll go beyond hype and headlines. No cherry-pick salaries, no inflated averages, no marketing language. Because the right question is not whether this college is good or not. The right question should be, is this branch in this college good for me or not? What we're going to cover now is mining engineering. I've always, single time I've told you that it is the branch that gets you a placement and not necessarily a college. It's very important for you to understand how you use your rank, the JEE Main rank, to get into the right branch of the right college instead of getting into the right college and then choose a branch which might not be your choice. Because ultimately it is a branch that is getting you a placement and not necessarily the college. Even in the best colleges that you have, some students are remaining unplaced because they choose the wrong branch. Now from that perspective, we're going to cover mining engineering. And before I move further in terms of showing you data, if you're not subscribed to BTech 360, do it right now. It is important for you to show us the support so that we can keep doing this intense work that we do. At the same time, it is also important for you to understand, based on data, what you must do for yourself. Here is data for you. Now, what we got at this point in time for mining engineering is 4 colleges, right? We got the data for 4 colleges. Now, one thing that I must tell you here is that, listen, there might be 23 IITs, so many NITs and so many IIITs and all, of which a few of them send us response. But mining engineering as a branch might be available only in very few colleges. So it's not that out of 50 colleges we got only 4. No, it's not that way. You must look at how many colleges actually offer mining engineering, of which we got. And what we're showing you is 4 is indicative. Our entire objective at this point in time is to show you or indicate to you of how the patterns are, for which we collect as much data as possible in the limited means that we have. So judge it by that perspective that you have IIT and NITs. A few of them, over 12-15 of them are offering, of which 4 we are going to show you now, and how the placement has happened there. It gives you an indication of how the branch, this particular branch is performing, because there is no way I can get 100% data from every single college on an RTI application. So what we got now is 4 colleges here, of which 2 are IITs and 2 are NITs, and how that branch is performing as compared to the other branches also is what we're going to compare here and show you, right? Now, these are typical RTI response that we get. What I'm showing you is NIT Surathkal RTI response. Now, when I show you the NIT Surathkal RTI response, this is what we get, right? We talk of this branch level, which is civil, chemical, computer, E&C, E&D, IT, mechanical, metallurgy, and mining, and AI, right? We're going to show, obviously, the mining is what we're focusing on at this point in time. Now, in this RTI, what is the kind of data that we have? We have total eligible students who are eligible for placement. So it doesn't still talk of the number of students who are actually there in the class. It only talks of the students who are eligible for placement. I showed you in an earlier video that 19% of the students of NIT Warangal were made ineligible for placement for whatever reasons. Right. Similarly, you might have all those kind of things here also, that a lot of students would have been pushed out of the placement process because they were made ineligible or incapable of sitting for placement also. So that number we still don't have for these things, but I don't want to confuse you beyond a point. So I just will show you students who are made eligible for placement and how many are placed. So you actually have, for example, in civil, 93 students were eligible for placement, of which 69 were placed, and the placement percentage is 74.19%. And you also have the highest CTC. You have the average CTC and you have the median CTC. They don't give the lowest CTC, by the way, here, if you notice very carefully, right? And that way we have for all the branches that Surathkal has. And we picked up only mining engineering in this particular case and are trying to collate that together so we can actually show you for 2 IITs and 2 NITs. In a way, one of the NITs is Surathkal, or NIT Karnataka for that matter. Like if you look at mining engineering, there are 39 students who were eligible for placement, of which 28 were placed. So the placement percentage is 71.79%, right? And the highest CTC is 27.67 lakh. The lowest average is 11.21 and the median is 10.25. This is what we're picking up. Now, what we will show you when we talk of our own numbers is we'll also talk of the number of students who are admitted and graduated, so that we start from there and exactly tell you how it works out. Now, the reason why I keep talking of this eligible for placement and so on and so forth is, the median salary keeps fluctuating depending on how much is the number of students who are sitting for placement. The number of students sitting for placement is reduced. Obviously, the median moves up, right? Which is what I want you to be careful about, and that's where we talk of the total number of graduated students versus total students who were eligible for placement and how many were placed. So that's what we're going to work on. Now, these are the 4 IITs and NITs we were talking about for which we got data. For example, in NIT Roorkela, the approved intake was 47. The students who registered for placement was 44. And 34 students were placed, which is 72.374% of the approved intake, but 77% of the students who were registered for placement. Right. Now, the maximum CTC is 31 lakh rupees and the average CTC is 11.59 lakh rupees. Right. In IIT Dhanbad, which of course is a mining area, it's the mining capital of the country, 103 students was approved intake, but only 87 registered for placement. So the gap of 16 students of why they were incapable of or ineligible to sit for placement is something I don't know. It can be reasons which are good or it can be reasons that are questionable. I'm not getting there, but you should apply your own mind to understand why this has happened, right? The placement offer accepted is by 67. So of the 87 who sat for placement, 67 got placements, right? So when you look at it, the placement versus intake is 65%, but against the number of students who actually sat for placement, it is 77%. So because you made about 16 students ineligible for placement, what was 65% against intake is now 77%. 12% jump in the placement percentage happened because you reduced the group of people who are eligible for sitting for placement. Now here the maximum salary is 51 lakh rupees, but the average salary is 11.52 lakh rupees. NIT Surathkal, earlier I showed you, right? Now this 24-25 is what we're showing at this point in time. 39 students sat for placement, 28 were accepted the offer. Now against the intake, because intake they did not talk earlier, was 58 students. So you actually had 19 students who were not capable or eligible for placement itself. That is a massive, massive number, because if I have to take it from that perspective, less than half students were placed. But when I take it from the students who were eligible for placement, 71% students were placed. And of course, we're talking of max and average. For a moment, you must ignore this and start looking at those numbers, right? In VNIT Nagpur, of the 50 who which is the intake, only 29 were eligible for placement, 24 got placed, right? So if you again look at it, they will claim 83% placement for mining engineering, but you should also keep it in mind that if against the intake, only 48% were placed. Now, why is this important? Because why the students are eligible for placement is something I don't know. This may be good reasons that actually students opted for higher studies or opted to do certain other things or opted to do a few things which are beyond education possibly. But only in certain branches these things happen, and I'll show you why I'm saying this again, right? But anyways, these are 4 data points that you have, and you must look at it very, very closely. And remember, mining engineering is not offered by all NITs and all IITs. So we actually have about 12-14 institutes which are offering mining engineering. I don't know the exact number, of which we got data from 4, and these 4 represent possibly or will give you an indication of how mining engineering as a branch is performing as compared to other branches. I'll show you another data point which actually tells you about this branch versus another branch, right? Now let's look at CSE branch. In CSE branch, we got data from 23 institutions across IITs, NITs and IIITs, because everyone gives CSE at this point in time, right? CSE, data science and all. Every IIT, every NIT, every IIIT for sure give this branch. So we actually have data from 23 institutions across the country, of which of the 23 institutions that responded to us, only 4 give mining engineering. Now, when we look at that data, you look at this data now. There are 2,332 students which is approved intake from these 23 institutions, of which 93% were eligible for placement and registered for placement. But in the case of mining engineering, only 77% registered for placement. Why is that big gap of about 16% is again, a question that I would always keep asking, because that's very important for me to understand, right? Of this 2,188, 1,892 were placed. So as placement against intake registered is 86%, and in the case of mining engineering, it's 76.88%, right? And then you also have the average CTC of 20.35 lakh versus 10.73 lakh. So here the drop is about 50%, right? The drop here is 50% as compared to CSE at this branch, right? Now look at the other side that we'll talk of. Now let's compare not the 23, but these 4 institutions for which I gave you data for mining engineering only, right? Now like to like comparison with the best branch that you have, which is 4 institutes, and you know the 4 institutes that we talked of, 2 IITs and 2 NITs. So we're comparing like to like of the same institution across 2 branches. One is CSE, which is the best branch, and mining engineering, which is the branch for which we have data. When we look at that data, here 99% students actually sit for placement. But here only 77% students are eligible for placement. So there's a gap of 22% of students who are not eligible for placement as far as mining engineering is concerned, or are not sitting for placement, or are not registering for placement. Why is it that in the best branch, almost every student registered for placement? Because you have 505 students as the intake and 501 students sat for placement or registered for placement. But in the case of mining engineering, of the 258, 59 students did not even register for placement, only 199 registered for placement. Now that's a question mark. The gap is what you need to look at very, very closely, because that is what will help you decide how to, chart out your plan. See, ultimately what you have is a rank. You have a JEE Main rank. Now, with the JEE Main rank, you get a college of your choice in a branch not of your choice, or you can opt for a branch of your choice, maybe in a college which is lesser, but still an NIT, IIT or IIIT. This is a call or a choice that you must make very, very consciously, with your head held high and with your head working, with your mind working exactly of what is good for you and what is the outcome that you deserve or desire. If you're not clear about the outcome, then you'll confuse between a good IIT with a bad branch versus a not too a good college, a good IIT or NIT, but maybe of a branch of your choice. And that is the call that I want you to take every single time when I'm looking at this, because your rank is what you have. It is a choice that you make of how you use that rank to get into a college and branch of your choice, or a college of your choice but not a branch of your choice, or a branch of your choice but not a college of your choice. These are 3 options that you have. The first option, of course, is the best option that you have, a college of your choice and a branch of your choice. But that will come only at a very, very high level. After that, it's all about a mix that you deal with. Now you look at this number again and again. We're talking of the same 4 IITs and NITs, 2 IITs and 2 NITs. In those numbers, when you look at that, 505 was the approved intake, 501 was the students who registered for placement. On 452 students got placed, which is 88% placement from the approved, which is 501. But in this case, 199 was the approved intake is what they came up with, and 70% placement is what they claim. But when you take it from the total intake, which is 505 and 258, the placement percentage is 89% here and 59% here. So that's a drop of 30%. And the average CTC, which is 22.81 lakh in these 4 IITs, 2 IITs and 2 NITs, 22.81 lakh has come down to 10.73 lakh, which is a 52% drop. Right? Now, this is what you need to understand, that here you actually have a placement drop from intake to about 30%, and the median salary drop of about 52%, which is what the report card for mining engineering is, that you're dealing with 52% salary drop and 30% placement drop, and both are drop. And this is a report card of mining engineering in India. This is something that you need to understand. I'll keep doing a few other branches. If you want me to do any other branch, please write to me in the message box. I'll try to do that. And most importantly, please subscribe to BTech 360 if you've not already done that. We'll keep doing very, very intense, deep down, detailed reports. And trust me when I say this, everything that I'm talking here is in the interest of the student. I know that I might be wrong a few times. I know that I might be interpreting some data wrong at times. But the hard data is out there. My interpretation might be wrong. Your interpretation might be right. Choose for yourself. But look at the data, because data is correct. My interpretation might go this way or that way and might go against your wishes also. It's okay with me. For me, it's about showing the data so that you can make the right choice. Thank you so much. Namaste.